House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Are you in the zone? That is a very important mindset and a philosophy to have, whether you're talking about sports, whether you're talking about school, being in that right frame of mind that you can perform at your very, very best. But one thing we want to talk about is exactly what the zone is and how are you zoned. And today we're talking about real estate with Liz and Gina from RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam. Hafa again, ladies.
Hafa.
And
Okay.
we're in the zone.
You are in the zone
The
right now.
KUAM zone.
KUAM
So you are ready to deliver optimal information?
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
So again, I mean, you can be in the zone, but how do you even know what the zone is? And I guess relative to residential, if not commercial property, how do I know? I'm assuming the house I live in is residential. I would hope.
Not necessarily so.
Uh-oh. See, and this could get people into trouble, right? If you don't know.
Right, right. So when we have people that come to us, we normally check what the zone is. So for example, R1 is for single family residence. R2 is your multifamily, so an apartment building and a condo complex will have to be in an R2 zone. So there are different zone types, like commercial for the business, and then you have industrial, which is M1, or heavy industrial M2. So there are different zone types. So for example, if you're selling your property and you've been using it as a home, but it's zone, commercial zone, then there's possibilities when you sell that in terms of potential buyer, what they could do with that property. So buyers normally are specific with the type of use that they want, whether they want to build an apartment building or a single family home. But it is very critical because it would inhibit the proper use of that property if it isn't zoned accordingly. So for example, if you wanted to open an apartment and it's not zone R2, you're stuck. Or if it's agricultural and they want to do a commercial venture, a commercial building, they're stuck.
In which case, I would not get the business license from
you
Rev and
would
Tax.
not be able to do so.
Okay.
So
you can't just slide underneath the rug and just say, I'll turn my apartment and I'll start.
And
collecting
especially
this.
when you're doing your business license, they will normally verify whether it conforms with the use you're going to get your license for.
Gina, is that because of things like, obviously if I'm going to turn my 2-story house into, say, a bed and breakfast, or I want to turn it into like a little makeshift restaurant, if I want to do that for customers, I would have to have additional parking. I'd have to probably have higher grade utilities, correct?
Well, zoning is designed to keep some sense of order so that I could have my house right here and let's say my neighbor next door decides to create a junkyard, which you can in certain zonings. So what zoning is designed to do is to create that order, to make sure that that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. But if you have an establishment where you want it to create a certain type of business, there is a process for how you go about changing the zoning. Mm-hmm. But that's really what it's for. It's to make sure that things are built in its proper area, because frankly speaking, if I had a house next door to a junkyard, my house has now been devalued because I have a junkyard next door.
I was just about to ask, but how about for things like if somebody opens again, like a makeshift bed and breakfast, if somebody opens a restaurant, if someone starts doing, maybe not necessarily a junkyard, but what if somebody opens like a oil change or a body shop repair and everything like that? They've got some cars lying around and everything like that. Are there cases where my property adjacent to that business could actually be improved?
Well, if you had that, and we've had a situation where it's residential. Someone next door was starting to pile up junk vehicles, doing repairs. So they actually file a report with Department of Public Works to say that the next door neighbor is not complying with the zone requirements for that neighborhood. So there is a process, and we can do that at another showtime, but your zone is critical, as Gina puts it, so that there's conformity. You don't want to live next to a junkyard. If it's zone R, they have to clean it up if you file the proper reports, and then they get cited. If they get cited, they have to clean up. They can't continue to operate as a junkyard if the whole neighborhood is residential.
And there's value in the zoning, Jason, so that's why it's important for people, number one, to understand what zoning am I in. So as an owner, your zoning can you know, it can affect your value, so it's important for you to know what that is. If you're buying and you have a specific need, the zoning of that property will determine if you can actually use it for that need. So that's why it's important for people to understand the concept of zoning.
Okay, now I'm looking out for number one here, right?
Yeah,
Like say
always.
I grew up around, my friends were always in League One Terrace and everything, and because it's a very densely populated place, you have a lot of cul-de-sacs, right? And you
Yes.
see this all the time. Sometimes people open up like maybe refrigerator repair, and so they've got like a lot of white metallic goods like in their yard and everything like that. The zone would only be relative to that piece of property, not my plot of land, correct? And is there any way I can stop that? Because if I don't want my value to go
how
down.
do you know that that is, it's probably inappropriate use. It's not within the zone. They're violating the zoning codes. So again, if you're the neighbor, it's up to you to report it so that it does not affect your value.
And we can go over that in a different episode, explain how to go about changing the zoning, the importance of it.
Tell you
Yes.
what, that was a great tease. So we'll have you guys back next week.
Yes.
And we will tackle that very topic.
Yes.
Hopefully I'll get my
Fantastic.
tongue untied by then. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will be back. Make sure to join us next week because that one is going to be good.